on average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. By the time we finish this show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared on here, then it's all worth it. Hey everyone, Glenn Victor here. Welcome to the Dare Me podcast. We're so glad that you're tuning in with us today. It is episode 26 of the Dare Me podcast, and we've got a great episode for you today. Paid a visit this past week to a great event here in Sacramento, California, where we're coming to you live from right now, called Recovery Happens. It was the 31st annual Recovery Happens event held at the California State Capitol here in Sacramento. And when I was at the event, I walked through all the expo areas and checked out all the cool booths and vendors that were there. I got some great interviews with some folks that we're going to show on the program today. We're even going to have a demonstration of how to properly administer Narcan, which, of course, is the antidote for someone who may have an opiate overdose, an opioid overdose. So you want to stick around to see that. Also met with a state senator who is sponsoring a bill to hopefully help with the opioid crisis and treatment area. We'll talk a little bit about that and hear from the senator in an interview that, in a speech that he gave at the event. So that's all coming up on today's program. We've got a couple of stories in the opioid news that we want to talk about. We've got some music news, some funny memes we'll talk about, and some shout outs too. So that's all coming up on the program today. Right now, we want to bring in our co-host and producer live from Orlando, Florida. There he is, Dean Baker. What's happening, Dean?
Hey there, Glenn.
Hey, how's things in Orlando, man? Is the weather starting to break, or you still got humidity there in Florida this time of year?
Oh, it's still pretty humid, but it's definitely less than it was, or less hot than it was last couple weeks.
I meant to ask you last week, and I completely forgot, bro. How'd you make out with that hurricane that passed through? I know it went further north, but did you get some of the bands in the Orlando area that came through? What was it called? Idalia? Was that the name of that one?
It didn't really do much here. It just, for the few days afterwards, it kind of dragged a bunch of little microbursts through,
right on.
So we had some pretty, just pretty good rainstorms for the next like 3-4 days after, but for the most part, it was.
Glad you dodged the bullet and just got a little rain. We want to definitely send our thoughts and prayers to all the folks in northern Florida there. My second hometown. If you're new to our program and may not know, I lived in Central Florida where Dean is right now in Orlando for 30 years. I've been here in Sacramento for almost a year, coming up on my California-versary, as we say. It'll be one full year, man, in just a few weeks that I've lived here in Sacramento. Of course, I have a long history with the state of California, going way back to the 80s. I've been all around this state, whatever that means to you, but an official resident of the state for almost a year, coming up in just a few weeks. But anyway, Dean, I'm glad you're here with us today. Thanks for getting us all prepared for the show today. We do have a bunch of slides and some really cool videos that we're going to show today, and Dean's been busy working on getting that stuff all ready for us for the last couple hours. Appreciate that as always, Dean. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the program, though, as always, just want to do a little bit of an introduction of what the show's all about in case you're new to the Dare Me podcast. As I mentioned right out of the gate, this is episode 26, y'all. So we've covered a lot of ground, that's for sure. And I have told my personal story about my struggles with substance abuse disorder and addiction many times on this program. If you are new to the show, you can certainly go back and watch all the previous episodes where I touch on it every time. My favorite platform is the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel. Although we're on several different Facebook pages, we're out there on LinkedIn. We're on what is now called X, used to be Twitter. We're out there on the new one, Threads. We're on all the things. You get the idea. But in any case, if you're new to the program and maybe even come across the recorded version, if you're looking for information about getting off of opiates like I was when I was trying to kick them, and you come across this particular episode of the show, zip on over to the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel, and you'll see all 25 episodes that we've done already, and you can go through them and kill some time if you're kicking dope, because when you're trying to kick, I get it, man. Time moves at a snail's pace, and you really got to let time go by to get all that shit out of your system before you can really start to feel better. So, yeah, you can do a deep dive into my story if you go back and watch some of the previous episodes, but I'll give you a little bit of a recap today. I got hooked on opioid pain medication when I broke my ankle skating, of all things. And I had surgery, had a few pins put in my ankle, and then I had another surgery where they actually took a couple out. But you get where I'm going with this. They prescribed me opiate pain medication, and it worked great out of the gate, as we say. Made me feel great, and certainly worked well until it didn't. I became physically dependent on that medication. If I didn't continue taking it, I would get sick, dope sick. And I was hooked on it for 9 years. And I went through them all, bro. I went through Vicodins, Percocet, Oxys, Demerol, Dilaudid. At the end of it, I was snorting heroin because I couldn't get the pills anymore, and I'd get dope sick, and I was hopelessly addicted to it. Trading shit with other people I knew that were using it, getting it off the streets. You get the idea. I'm not proud to acknowledge that. It is my story. It is what it is. I just decided to do this podcast and put it all out there to see if we might be able to help even one person, as we say in the introduction to this program. By the way, I see we got some viewers, some listeners, and folks in the chat room already. Want to welcome y'all to the show. Thanks, as always, for tuning in. So, yeah, if you're new to the show, and like I said, you're looking for information like I was when I was trying to get off the dope. I was Googling and searching YouTube, how to get off opiates, how to kick opiates, all that kind of stuff. There's good stuff out there, but there's nothing like what we do with this show, as I always say. And we go live every Sunday, and then, of course, we post the recorded version on the different platforms that we're on for people to go watch and listen to anytime they may want to. So we hope we provide good and entertaining content for anyone, because we do talk about a lot of different things. That name, Dare Me, actually stands for some things, and we like to put these hashtags up on the screen from time to time, and just there they are. Thank you, Dean, for throwing those up there. We like talking about drugs, addiction, recovery, which we've already talked about. We talk about enlightenment. There's a few episodes out there that we talk about that, spirituality, enlightenment, things to that nature. And we'll talk about it more as we go. Definitely spend a lot of time talking about music because that's been instrumental in helping me get and stay clean. And of course, fitness and exercise. It's considered a sickness that is physical, mental, and spiritual. So we do try to talk about all the things across the top of the screen. Today, we're going to focus in on certainly recovery and also addiction and drugs and things to that nature. But I attended this event, as I mentioned, called Recovery Happens 2023. It was the 31st annual one. At the Sacramento State Capitol, and it's all part of what is known as National Recovery Month. So let's go ahead and bring up some of the slides that we have for today's show, and we'll start to move into the whole thing. So, yeah, there you go. That's a slide. that we put together for y'all. Just, again, kind of reiterating what I just mentioned, that September is known as National Recovery Month. And so I attended this event, and here's, some info and a logo for it. It was just this past week on the 6th, and it was really interesting, and we're going to take a deep dive into it right now, y'all, and talk a little bit more about it and watch some of the videos. But when we get done with that, stick around because we've got some cool shout outs we're going to do. We're going to talk about some music news, opioid crisis in the news. We got a couple little funny memes to wrap the show up. So that's all coming up. But right now, we're going to take a deep dive, like I said, into this event, y'all. And we're going to bring up our first video here. Let me just kind of go over. I'm working this in the chat room here and in StreamYard, y'all. Our first video is. It's all about this event. And so I walked all around the state capitol, and I just really wanted to give y'all a feel for this event. So this first video is me kind of down on the sidewalk in front of the Capitol and what's known as the famous Tower Bridge here in Sacramento. And I actually filmed this one after the event, but let's give it a look and a listen, and you'll get the idea. Check it out. All right, y'all, so there's the famous Sacramento Tower Bridge, and it can be seen right here from the steps of the state capitol, where we are out here at the recovery event. Recovery Happens 2023. Now you can see lots of activity going on out here. We walked through all those tents and saw all the booths and met with the different vendors and got some interviews with some really cool people about some unique services and things available for people in recovery looking to live and stay clean, and also for people looking to get clean. So yeah, that's it. Great event. All right, so you get the idea. That banging you were hearing in the background, by the way, there was a Native American group out there, Native Americans in Recovery, or whatever the name of it was, and they actually were doing like a little bit of a drum circle there, which was kind of cool.
Might you say the natives were restless?
Well, all right, Dean with the sense.
I couldn't resist.
Great group, though, I'll tell you. I went to their booth and met with some of them, and man, just some of the coolest people. It definitely was a very eclectic event, and lots of different cultures and ethnicities and age groups, young and old. As you'll see, we stopped by one particular booth and interviewed a guy that's coming up called Young People in Recovery. So definitely was a very eclectic event. Anyway, let's go right into our next video. It's basically the same thing we just watched, just from a different view, and I just thought we'd show this one, so check it out. All right, y'all, so I thought I'd get a little video here facing the Capitol. I did one facing the bridge starting off, and you can see here on the sidewalk lots of activity going on. They got cool food trucks out here. There's the bridge down that way, the famous Tower Bridge in Sacramento. Yeah, so lots of stuff going on out here at the Recovery Happens event 2023, and it is going on, y'all. So anyway, thought I'd show you another little perspective of the event out here on the lawn of the state capitol of California. So there you go, folks. And keep in mind, I was out there quite early. The event started at 9 in the morning, so it didn't look real crowded in those particular videos, but it definitely got crowded at various times throughout the day. I mean, it wasn't like packed bumper to bumper, elbow to elbow or anything, but at different times it kind of fluctuated. We're going to go into this next video now, and this was like the kind of the beginning of the day. A program overview, one of the speakers. There's lots of background music, so, bear with me on this one. But I thought we'd show this to give you an idea of, again, what the event was like. Here we go.
When we feel that, when we are connected.
All right, y'all, we are out here.
And so we want to acknowledge our relatives at Wilton Rancheria. And I'm going to offer this blessing.
Just thought I'd
and
get
in our language, we just
little
say
footage.
Tuta, this Tuta song, which is like saying, I'm going to
going
bless
on.
this ground that we're on.
See,
We sing
the
these songs
event
in
is,
preparation of our
definitely
ceremonies.
going
Every
on.
time we
It's
come
quite
together
filled
as
up.
tribal people, we believe that
Senator
ceremony.
Cortese is about
And
to
I'm
speak
a
in a
person
little
in
bit.
long-term sobriety,
And
abstinence.
just thought I'd get a
We
little
call it
footage.
Friday.
We'll go check out all the booths and
Anyone here?
vendors and all that stuff in a little bit.
Let me do it.
So we
In
get
our
some
way,
footage
you will
of
be found
this
a
thing
God
starting
of our
out.
understanding.
Here we go.
So where we
All right, y'all. So, you get the idea. It was really a cool event. And, I really thought it was a great idea to show all this on the program today because, as we've talked about on this program many, many times, one of the biggest stumbling blocks for people who get hooked on whatever kind of drugs or dope it is, when they want to try to get clean, is this whole fucking stigma. There's this stigma attached to it, like, oh God, what are people going to think? Oh my God, I can't come out of the closet and let people know that I got hooked on this or that or the other, or I'm an addict. God, to use that word addict for some people is like, just fucking, beyond their comprehension for some people, especially from, I think the professional world, which we've talked about so much on this program. I really, not to, make what's the word I'm looking for? To make differences between different groups of people, I just will say, having worked in the business world and the corporate world and all that during my careers, I think it can be tougher for people, from the white collar and professional world to come out and acknowledge that they have a problem with using drugs, whatever it might be. And if you struggle with that word addiction because of this whole fucking stigma, try to maybe get with what's become, I've gathered, kind of the new buzz phrase. It's a substance abuse disorder. It affects so many people. I don't think any of us could say that we don't know at least one family that it has affected in some way. And of course, with this fentanyl crisis right now, oh my God, people are just dropping like flies, dead left and right. And it affects all age groups, all ethnicities, all cultures, like we talked about. So where I'm going with that, y'all, again, is events like this. I just love stuff like this. It's the whole recover out loud thing, just like what we're doing with this podcast. I've said it on here before. It took a lot for me to put myself out there the way I have. I've got a long history with addiction and recovery, by the way. I started using as a young guy, not to get too much off into my story, but I did. I started using as a young guy, 12, 13 years old. It just seemed like everybody at that time was smoking weed, drinking, partying, at least the kids I knew, and that shit went on for me till I was like 25 years old. And then I stayed clean for almost 17 years. I had a horrible relapse. I was just going through some shit, and I wasn't doing the daily maintenance and, the work you need to do to stay clean. And I relapsed. And then I got clean again, and then I broke my ankle and got hooked. But the point I'm making is, it was very difficult for me out of the gate to put myself out there like this. But now I wouldn't have it any other way. 26 episodes in, I don't want to get into a long laundry list of all the feedback we've gotten and people we've heard from since we started doing this show, just thanking us for what we're doing and being our biggest cheerleaders to keep moving forward with it, So the point I guess I'm getting at with this whole thing again, y'all, is I just think events like this are great for breaking down that stigma, man. There's nothing to be ashamed of if you develop a substance abuse disorder, a drug problem, an addiction, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you got to do something about it or it can kill you, And so, being open about it is not easy at first. I get it. Relationships will change, but those that really, truly do care will stand by you no matter what. And you'll find you'll make a whole group of new friends that really do want to do what they can to help you as well. So anyway, with all that said, y'all, come down off my soapbox. Let's do the next video. Actually, you know what, Dean? I want to show this picture first of me and the senator. This is Senator Cortese here in California. And he is a great guy. Well, that was another slide about, I'm looking for the picture of me and the senator. There we are. Okay. Yep. This is Senator Cortese here in California. And he did a speech at the event that we're going to hear a portion of in just a moment. He's got a bill in the Capitol there that he is pushing for to make it more difficult for health insurance companies to basically boot people out of treatment. And he talks about it a little bit in his speech. Not just booting them out early, but even approving people for substance abuse disorder treatment. Now, I will say, y'all, I'm a cynical person. I've been that way my whole life. And I'm always looking at somebody's angle. Like, what's this person's angle? What's this agency's angle? What's in it for them? Are they really sincere about what they're doing and all that shit? And we've talked on this program about the drug treatment industry. And it is an industry, a billion-dollar industry. Go back an episode and two and watch and listen to what we talked about having to do with the Jamie Daniels Foundation. And if you're not familiar with the Jamie Daniels Foundation, I highly encourage you to Google it, go to their website, and read Jamie's story. This young guy who was struggling with substance abuse disorder, got a hold of some of them bullshit pills, man, laced with fentanyl, and OD'd and died. And God bless his family. They formed this foundation. We talked in depth about it on our last episode, y'all. But they tell the story of him and his involvement with the treatment industry and how things didn't go the way you might think they would. And let's just put it that way. I don't want to get into the long story about it, but what I'll say is, and I talk about it in some of the videos we're going to show today, you really want to do your research on whatever treatment agency you may choose to use if you decide to go into drug treatment. You also want to do research if you're trying to help someone, your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, your mother, your father, your friend, your colleague, your coworker, your employee, whoever the fuck. There are a shit ton of great ones out there that are legit. There's also some that maybe not so much, so do your research. And anyway, where I'm going with the whole thing is, when I heard the senator speak, being the cynical guy I am, and read about his bill and all that stuff, I thought to myself, okay, what's his angle? Is he getting PAC money from the treatment center, the multi-billion-dollar treatment center industry, to sponsor a bill like this, to put pressure on the insurance companies, to fund, treatment for people wanting it? And quite frankly, I'll be honest, y'all, I did not do the research. That's all public information, but I didn't look it up. What I will tell you is he seems like a really nice and legit person who gets it. He does get this whole opioid crisis that's going on and the whole drug treatment, concept. Is that the right word? The whole drug treatment industry and all that. He understands it. And, I really believe the guy is sincere. And as I've said before on this program, I don't get into politics on here. Certainly I have my opinions on various political issues, but I don't want to alienate anyone. I don't even fucking label myself. I am definitely not going to label myself a Democrat, a Republican, a conservative, a liberal, whatever the fuck. Do you? For me, I am more of an independent. It depends on the issue. It depends on the person, the candidate, whatever you want to call it. It depends. Our so-called two-party political system is all a bunch of shit, if you ask me. And I'm getting a little political there, but the point I'm making is, I don't judge people based on their party. I will try to do research on, their voting record, what kind of political action committee funding they're getting, things to that nature. And I didn't do all the research on the senator, like I said. However, he does seem legit, y'all, and does seem to care. And at the end of the day, people are fucking dying from fentanyl overdoses. The opioid crisis is not getting better. If you think it's getting better and you've heard all about these settlements with Purdue Pharma and all the rest, and you think it's not. It's getting worse. It continues to get worse, y'all. And so, when I think about, the treatment industry and guys like the senator that are trying to do something about it, I pay attention. And it does seem like this guy really does care. And there absolutely is a need for legit drug treatment centers, rehab, whatever you want to call it, to be available for people seeking help. So with all that said, let me get down off of that soapbox for a second. Let's go ahead and listen to this clip of the senator's speech, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more after. Check it out.
Of our providers do
is
is
the senator
given voice and amplified in the halls of the Capitol that we stand before today. And it's because of amazing state representatives that you're able to get so much work done on your behalf. Senator Cortese has been a champion in legislation in the area of substance use disorder and recovery services. Last year, he authored CCAP sponsored Bill 999 that Sherry just spoke about, and this bill sought to reduce insurance denial for substance use disorders. And this year, he's the author of SB 10, Melanie's Law, to establish a state working group on fentanyl, education in schools for the purpose of promoting public education, awareness, and prevention of fentanyl overdoses with the outreach aimed at staff and pupils in schools. SB 10 would also develop a school resource guide on opioids, serving as a toolkit that may be accessed by school staff. It would also require all comprehensive school safety plans to include the development of a protocol in the event that a pupil is suffering or believed to be suffering from an opioid overdose. We are so grateful for his commitment and his leadership. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, thank you very much for the warm welcome. It's great to be here with all of you, and I'm proud to work with all of you on the issues close to home for all of us. And we're happy to see you here in Sacramento today, and hopefully you'll be back one day at a time. You're all about pushing for top-notch practices, of course, and ethical standards in substance abuse programs and amongst professionals. I'm deeply grateful for your dedication to improving the lives of the people that you serve. The cause resonates with me, to put it mildly, and that's why I love working with your group. The legislation you heard about that I authored last year did pass both houses of the legislature, and I just want to clarify that. It's not as if my colleagues in the Senate and our colleagues over in the Assembly refused to support what you wanted, what I wanted, but when the bill got to the governor's desk, it was vetoed. That's not all bad because it means the next version of SB 999 has really good talking points. My colleagues are going to know they voted on this before. that the legislature pushed this to the governor's desk before, and we just need to get aligned with the governor so he signs it into law.
So there's obviously a lot more to that speech, y'all, and a lot more to the bill than things I mentioned. Obviously, the person that introduced the senator talked about, and he referenced briefly, the educational component in there, and talked about a need for us in our public school system to educate our kids better about the drug crisis, and specifically this opioid and fentanyl crisis. And I couldn't agree more. You know, so, oh boy, I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole, man. You know, some of the things they do in public education, the requirements they have with things like algebra and, you know, training people to pass a goddamn test, but meanwhile, they won't even teach a kid about, you know, things like this. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. Just thought that we'd share a little bit about that, y'all. Now let's go into, you know, some more video from the event, because they also had a banner contest. And it's pretty fun to watch. They had a march with all these different agencies that were there that decided to participate in the banner contest. And they did a walk around the Capitol, which was no easy task, because if you know Sacramento, if you're from Sacramento, there's a lot of construction going on around the Capitol right now. So I followed them as best I could, and it really was fun, and some of them got really creative. So let's go ahead and watch this video here. This is fun.
All right, yeah, they're supposed to be starting this recovery walk of some sort here.
All right, so we're going to get those banners. You got those banners out?
Yeah, it's a recovery banner walk.
If you have a banner, you win a prize. We have judges, and they're going to, so after the walk, we're going to be back here, and then we're going to judge the banners. So, everybody that's getting ready for the walk or roll, are you ready? Where's Michelle? She with me? All right, Michelle is with me? All right. So this is Michelle.
I'm not sure what's going on here, y'all. I'm just recording and going with the flow. We'll see.
She volunteered to lead the walk with us.
I don't know where we're walking or where this is leading, but we'll see. I'm looking for the banners. Oh, there's a banner. There's one banner. Oh, there's a couple more banners. Here, let me get on the other side of these. So I can. Oh, there's one.
Come on, guys.
Hey, do you know where we're walking to?
Around the Capitol.
Oh, all the way around. Oh, okay.
Big circle.
Okay, cool.
Brought his blanket.
There's one. Recovery happens at Sacramento Recovery Court. Okay. Oh, look, here come the banners. There's another one. Sober Mamas. There you go. Yeah, pull that out. There you go. Options for recovery. Like that one. Beauty. Definitely got some treatment centers out here doing some advertising, but that's all good, man. You know. Just got to make sure they're legit. So, okay, we're going to walk a little bit. I don't know if I'll record this entire walk around the Capitol. There is construction going on out here, so I don't know how in the world we'll be able to go all the way around the Capitol, but clearly we're making our way.
Oh, there's Judy in the very front.
Along some type of path. There's some other stuff going on here too. I saw some news reporters that were out here covering some other stuff going on. But anyway, I'm going to keep walking, and then I'll probably pick up recording in a little bit. Let's see where we go.
So there you go, everyone. We got some more video of the banner march, but I just wanted to reiterate, as I was watching it, it came to mind, what I was saying earlier. It's this whole recover out loud thing, and as I'm sure you could tell watching that, it truly was an eclectic crowd. I mean, there were people from all different age groups, ethnicities, cultures. It was just really cool to be there and watch people participate in the march and the whole event, and get the attention, because like I said in the video, there were a lot of other people around the Capitol that weren't there just for that event, and certainly got some news coverage and all too. But anyway, let's watch the next video about the banners. This is interesting because they
Okay, y'all, I'm picking up again. Here's a couple more banners I didn't see earlier. Oh, this is the Native American group that was speaking earlier. How do you say that? Akua Native Healing Relations. There's another cool-looking banner. They worked hard on this one. Look at that one.
Sideways.
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 Cool as hell. That's a cool banner. Oh, look, here comes another one. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen any. Hey, can I see y'all's banner for my podcast? All right, I like it. Cool.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen anything for NA and or AA. I mean, get the whole freaking anonymity thing, but they both have PR committees, and there's no reason that they shouldn't have an informational booth out here. Maybe they have a booth, but just didn't do a banner. So I'm going to go walk them booths in a bit. And hopefully there's some representation. What's that, bro?
I think I seen you at Progress House sharing.
Oh, did you? Oh, right on. Right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Right at the end of that video, I have what's called a service commitment in, I'll just say the NA program that I'm involved in. And I go speak at a treatment center, a rehab center for men, the third Thursday of every month up in the Sierra foothills. And the guy recognized me. There were a few people I bumped into there that recognized me, and just kind of made me feel good. And so anyway, y'all, yeah, it was interesting, as I mentioned in that video. I did see, and you'll see it in one of the clips coming up, bumped into somebody I knew who has a table in one of the tents there where the expo area was, who was selling some merchandise that had like the NA logo and promoting NA and things to that nature. But the PR committees for AA or NA did not have a table out there that I saw, which was disappointing to me. The tables in the expo areas you're going to see, I did see on the website, costed money. It was like $300-400 to have a table, which certainly the NA or AA community could afford. Sometimes they do have challenges with, getting people to volunteer to do the service work and man the tables or the booths or whatever, what have you. It's just interesting that, all these treatment services were out there, as you're going to see in a moment. Yet, man, it was a little disappointing to me that I didn't see any 12-step groups out there with tables. And if you're a regular viewer of our program, I am a 12-step guy. I'm not a representative. I always like putting that disclaimer out there. The whole, thing as far as that goes. I'm just another guy trying to stay clean another day longer, but I can damn sure talk about 12-step programs, and I am active, in mainly the NA program. And I just would have sure liked to have seen informational booth out there for either or of the programs because they've been so instrumental in helping me along the way. And, you know, for anybody that was out there looking for information, you know, they weren't there. I mean, obviously, people can get that information online. You know, they're very widely known programs, things to that nature. It just would have been kind of cool to see him have a booth out there. But anyway, let's move into this next video.
Well, next year you can bring your own banner. Have the Dare Me banner.
Well, you know what, Dean? I'm glad you interjected there because that one I meant to mention that one banner for A House, the really cool and colorful one. I had some video of it, but I just didn't put it in today's program because it would have bogged it down a lot. They did a contest, and at the end of the march, they voted on what the best banner was, and everybody there thought A House should have won. It was this very creative, handmade banner and everything. And they ended up giving it to this one treatment center that had this digitally created banner, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?" I mean, they definitely had probably the most boisterous crowd, and the A House won second place. But there was some funny business going on with the voting there because A House
sounds like that was politics, huh?
Yeah, yeah, they definitely had the most creative and colorful banner, but everybody knew they should have won. But it's all good. It was all in fun. And all for a good cause, and of course, all that stuff. But anyway, let's watch this next video, y'all, and then we're going to start to get into, me walking through the expo area, some of the booths. And then don't forget, I mentioned it at the top, if you're just joining us, we're actually going to see a couple of training videos, and it don't take long, just a few minutes. A guy goes through, really cool guy, met how to administer Narcan properly if somebody's having an opiate overdose, and also how to test drugs for fentanyl with fentanyl strip. Those are coming up real soon, y'all. So anyway, let's move along with the videos. Here we go.
All right, y'all. So here's another banner. Oh, we filmed that one earlier. I'm back recording again. You know what? I'm going to go this way and start recording some of the vendors and booths in here. Let's see what we got in here. A lot of recovery centers. Jokes Hospital, Alpha Oaks Cornerstone, Sac Recovery House, Inc. There's the court booth. They were out at that fentanyl summit I went to. This one over here. What's up, Dan? Hey, what's up, bro? Good, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
We out here.
Yep.
I was hoping there'd be an NA presence here of some sort, Cool.
So obviously there was a guy I knew that I bumped into, and I mentioned that briefly. It wasn't an NAPR informational booth table, but at least there was a presence out there. They were selling merchandise with the NA logo and things of that nature on there. So that was kind of cool to see. Anyways, y'all, you get the idea. There were I think 3 of those huge tents set up where they had all these vendors with their booths and informational tables and things set up. And I walked through another one. And then after we watch this video, we'll watch the one with the Narcan training. So check this one out first.
All right, y'all, I'm filming again. I bumped into a couple people I knew. So there's that tent. Let's move into this tent. And there's this Diamond House Dual Diagnosis Treatment Center in Elk Grove in the Sac area. Through Mind and Body. These events are like, they can be like trick-or-treating for adults. When you go through these things, they're all always giving away stuff. Sac County Proby, first steps, a lot of treatment centers here, that's for sure. Spire. Whoops, sorry. Some faith community tables. One specifically for opioid use disorder. All kinds of beads. Bridges. A lot of treatment centers here, that's for sure. This is big business, man. Multi-billion-dollar business, this drug treatment shit. It ain't no fucking joke, that's for sure. You gotta make sure you're dealing with a legit organization. Kind of like what we alluded to with the whole Jamie Daniels Foundation. So there's another one over there. Looks like they're still walking with the banners because I don't see them back out here where the center of everything was earlier. Oh, look at this, y'all.
So yeah, we're going to show another video shortly of those little posters that I ended that particular video clip on. Right now, though, we want to go into the next video, which is, in fact, training on how to properly administer Narcan. And you saw just a short little clip of the front of their booth and, you know, the area where I saw this. So if you hadn't noticed, you probably heard a couple of times in today's program, in my voice, in my tone, in the things I've said, maybe a underlying tone of cynicism when it comes to the drug treatment industry. Have you picked up on that at all, Dean?
Not at all, Glenn.
Not at all.
Not at all.
As he said sarcastically.
You were just a delight.
I will say, Dean, I had a great experience with one of the rehabs I was in, and I'm not trying to endorse them over any other. I'm just saying they are legit. It's a place called Brighton Hospital in Brighton, Michigan, one of the oldest rehab centers in the country. A lot of famous people have gone through there, too. Eminem, Marshall Mathers is probably one of the most famous people that's gone through there, being from the Metro Detroit area because it's in southeast Michigan. They're legit. There was another one I went through that I'm not going to mention by name. Not so much. I literally walked out of that place. So
why'd you walk out?
Beg your pardon?
Why'd you walk out?
Well, it's a long story. What I'll say is they were not very sympathetic to the withdrawals I was going through. They had a curfew in place where you couldn't even leave your room past a certain time. Oof. And oh yeah, I wasn't having it. And when I first checked in there, I was so strung out that I ended up sleeping for 12 hours, and they let me sleep, which I get. You know, they want you to sleep through it. I'm sure they were probably checking my vitals. But the point I'm making is I fucking woke up at like 10 o'clock at night after sleeping for 12 hours. And there was no doctor or nurse on staff at the time, just the people up front, the receptionists or whatever you want. God bless them. But I wanted to, like, go down to the fucking TV room, get something to eat, whatever the fuck. I'm like, and then the withdrawals were really starting to kick in, and they had nothing for me. Nothing. And then they told me I had to stay in my room, which was almost like a prison cell. The fucking walls were made out of cinder blocks. I mean, they were painted cinder blocks. I tell you, man, that fucking place, I never should have went in there in the first place. I was, like, pretty fucked up at the time, but, I was persuaded by people who, thank God, love and care about me, to go in there. But it was not a good experience for me. And so, but I will also say this, Dean, that place does have a record of helping a lot of people. It just didn't work for me. So everybody's different, some people need that country club kind of place. Some people need that fucking rough place down in the hood where there ain't no pampering, man. It is we're down in the trenches, as they say. So it just kind of depends on the person. It's like, I even think about, this program in that regard, and how we put that content warning on the front end, that we use strong language. Well, it's kind of sort of by design, folks. If you read in between the lines, when somebody's struggling with addiction, they don't sugarcoat many things in the things they say. So sometimes you got to get down to the level of the people you're trying to get through and help, so that hopefully they can relate to you and what you're talking about and saying. And so, yeah, man, we don't hold any punches or sugarcoat anything on this show in terms of the language we use, and even talking about specific drugs. We're not trying to trigger nobody, but if us mentioning specific drugs is a trigger for you to go out and use, your problems are much bigger than anything I could help you with. So in any case, though, yeah, like I was saying, y'all, I don't mean to be cynical toward the treatment center industry. All I'm saying is, do your research if you're thinking about going into treatment. I also highly encourage you to do your research on the 12-step programs, as we talked about. So, with all that said, y'all, I will say one thing I just loved seeing is there were a lot of booths there. Dean, if you give me a close-up here on the camera shot, I got a little show and tell. Yeah, they were all giving away Narcan, and I just thought it was awesome, because this is so timely. If you follow this in the news, y'all, you know that Narcan was made available for over-the-counter purchase without a prescription just this week. And it ain't cheap, y'all, for 2 doses, a 2-pack. This box right here cost you around $50. And they were giving it away left and right, as you're going to see in some other videos. And then they even had this one, which is the 8 milligram. And I hope I'm pronouncing it, excuse me, sorry, y'all. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's called Cloxido. And you can see it's another brand, if you will, of Naloxone, which is, Narcan, basically. And it's the antidote for somebody that overdoses on an opiate. So they were giving both of these away on just about every other table you went through the expo. And, it was great. I got several of them. Obviously, I got a couple there. And so I came across this booth for this agency called End Overdose. And I got a bunch of their stuff here that I want to show y'all. And I met this really cool guy, Anthony Benuelos. Anthony, if you see this, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And I got a couple videos with Anthony. He's going to do the Narcan training for us right now. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the agency. And then he's going to show us how to use these fentanyl test strips. So this video is only about 3.5 minutes long, y'all. It doesn't take long, but let's give it a look and a listen. And then we're going to talk more about the agency End Overdose. They're legit, y'all. They're the real deal, doing good work that's saving lives. Check this out.
So today we're going to learn how to identify and respond to an opioid overdose. Now we're going to do this in 4 steps, okay? So step 1 is right here. We're going to recognize the signs and symptoms. Now the 3 I want you to pay attention to are on this board. Now this is also known as the opioid overdose triad. These are the 3 most common signs and symptoms of an opioid overdose. Now these 3 signs and symptoms are pinpoint pupils, shallow breathing, unconscious, and unresponsive, okay? Now pinpoint pupils. Now a lot of us have a light source on our phone, right? So if I check these pupils, now a normal reaction to light is they're going to constrict a little bit. There'll be movement, right? Now if this person's experiencing an opioid overdose, if I check these pupils and they are non-reactive to light and pinpoint, that's a bad sign, okay? Now breathing, a typical adult breathes 12 to 20 breaths per minute. Anything under 12 breaths a minute is considered respiratory depression. This person's in trouble. So to check for breathing, we're gonna stop, look, and listen, okay? So we're gonna tilt the head back, we're gonna stop, we're gonna look at the chest at an angle. By doing so, we're better able to see the chest rise and fall. Not only that, we can hear for a breath and we can feel for a breath. Anytime they exhale, to be warm on our skin, okay? Now, if somebody's in respiratory depression, breaths are gonna be real shallow, not as deep, right? Not as deep, okay? Now, if they're breathing under 12 breaths a minute, right, they're in respiratory depression, okay? Now, we're also gonna check responsiveness with the sternal rub. So you're gonna get your hand ball in a fist. Now, your knuckles, you're gonna grind on the sternum, right? Now, if this person's sleeping, and I do this to them, they're gonna wake up, right? If they're unresponsive to the stimulation, that's a bad sign, okay? So if these 3 signs and symptoms are occurring, they're experiencing an opioid overdose. Now step 2, we're gonna call 911 or yell for help. Now in California, you're protected by the Good Samaritan law, okay? This protects you from any civil damages. Now this law also protects an individual who is under the influence of a controlled substance, in possession of a controlled substance, and in possession of drug-related paraphernalia. Do not be afraid to get help along the way, okay? Now step 3, we're gonna administer Naloxone. This is a medication that they use to reverse an opioid overdose. Now it's real simple, real easy to use. Now you're gonna get your hands like this, 2 fingers up top, thumb on the plunger. You're gonna insert in the nostril as far as the fingers let you, and you're gonna hit the plunger once, okay? Now this is a demonstration device. If you click the top, it unlocks. Now I'm gonna pass this around. I want you to get comfortable, familiar with that device. Now a real device is one-time use and done. Meaning once you use it once, you cannot use it again, okay? Now after we administer the medication, it's continued care. We wanna start off with rescue breaths, okay? So we're gonna clog the nose, tilt the head back. We're gonna give this individual a breath every 5 seconds. Now just enough to see the chest rise and fall. If it hits 3 minutes and they are still unresponsive, administer a second dose in the opposite nostril and continue rescue breathing, okay? Now in the event that this individual starts to become responsive, which is a good sign, we want to turn them on their left side in the recovery position. The reason for this being is they might be nauseous, they might throw up. This prevents them from choking on the throat, okay? Now there's no life-threatening side effects of this medication. If you misdiagnose somebody, no harm, no foul, they'll be perfectly fine. I just want to say thank y'all for taking the training. We got free stickers, we got free handouts, free pamphlets, we got free fentanyl test strips as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How about that boy, Anthony? Shout out, Anthony. You rock, bro. Man, he did a great job on that, didn't he, Dean?
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
did it all in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And as you can tell, y'all, there were people, you know, watching this, and it was like that for him all day long. People just passing through that booth area on and off. And so, you know, clearly, you know, he had gone through some training on how to deliver this training quickly. And so anyhow, with all that said, let's get a close-up again, Dean. I'm going to go ahead and open this box right in front of everyone, so that you get the idea of what you're looking at. So here is the device that he, you know, was showing there. So, you know, you open the box up, y'all. You get 2 of these inside, you know, the box of, you know, the Narcan. Okay, and it does come with instructions, but, you know, who reads them pamphlets? I mean, there's like so much information, you know. But, and then you just, you know, you pull this thing open, and again, there's more instructions. And then here's the device that he showed us in the video. So if you think you might have missed a couple things in terms of what he was talking about, rewind this show and go back and watch it again, because it's real easy to administer, y'all. And if the first dose doesn't work, as he mentioned, give them another one. And so also, as you could tell at his booth, he was handing out the 8 milligram one.
Wow.
And what's that, Dean?
Just commenting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, we're gonna open this one in a little bit, little teaser, because we have another girl that we did an interview with that we talked to about the 8 milligram one. And so when we watch that interview, then I'll go ahead and open this one up. But I want to talk just a little bit more about end overdose, y'all, because another thing I love about them, like I said, man, you know, nothing against all the treatment centers. They're out there marketing their business and their wares. And I would venture to say all the ones that were at that event, y'all, they're legit. You know, they're in it for the right reasons, you know. I just, you know, I'm always cynical when it comes to certain things. And of course, as I've talked about on this program before, y'all, with all this opioid settlement money out there, millions and millions and millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars, you know damn well as I do, they're all lining up for a piece of it. And you know damn well as I do, some of that money is going to end up in places it ain't supposed to, and being used for shit it ain't supposed to be, and being used to pay out of the, you know, ballpark salaries of people that probably shouldn't be getting it, you know, when it could be getting used for things like, you know, prevention and treatment and things to that nature. And again, I hate to sound cynical, y'all, but we're going to try to keep our eyes on it, along with hopefully a lot of other agencies, you know, just one more watchdog agency, as they say, hoping that all that opioid settlement money, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds across the country, is being used properly. Anyhow, I kind of got off on a little tangent there again. But like I said, the treatment agencies, the rehab centers, the outreach groups that were at this event all seemed legit to me. And I did mean to mention in some of those videos you saw a couple of booths here and there where there weren't any people sitting there. Just remember, I was, you know, when I was filming some of that stuff, it was still pretty early in the day, y'all, because I got there early in the morning and I was there all day. And so some of them agencies, I think the people just hadn't arrived yet. Or maybe they were getting something to eat or, you know, taking a restroom break. Who knows, you know. But again, getting back to what I was saying is I would venture to say all the agencies that were there were legit. The ones that I chose to show these interviews for, though, really struck out to me. And the one that I definitely loved the most was End Overdose. Because they truly are making a difference, y'all. And they're a legit nonprofit. And I love that they are trying to gear their message toward youth. You can see in this particular pamphlet, no one else has to die. They've got, you know, young people on the front of it. And then Anthony mentioned they have stickers. So we've all heard about the ads that Camel Cigarettes was called out for, gearing their little cartoon characters toward kids. We've heard about the vape industry and how they were gearing all these, you know, flavors toward kids, you know, fruity flavors and all this shit, you know, and I believe there's, you know, definitely some truth to all that. What's cool about End Overdose is, yeah, they're doing stickers with, you know, little cartoon characters like a kitten, you know, End Overdose, save a life. So this is their way of kind of combating all that bullshit, you know, coming at the youth too, you know, picture of a kitten wearing a cap, you know, End Overdose is what it says on there. And there's a picture of a fucking needle. The kids need to be aware of this shit, you know. So I love that they're gearing their message towards kids, you know. Here's another sticker they have, End Overdose, you know. Love it, you know. This one is kind of cool. It says, I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can get up there. It says, hot girls carry Narcan. Hot girls carry Narcan. So fucking cool as hell, man. You know, I love that this agency is doing the cool stuff they are. Then they had cards with these little comic book stories and characters on it. So you know, when we talk about an agency trying to gear their message to the youth, I love it. And then they had this as well, this little flashcard, you know, first aid flashcard for, you know, somebody, going through an opiate overdose. It's just a quick glance flashcard, and you know, those were going off the shelves. Had another little sticker, end overdose, you know. So anyway, y'all, not to belabor it, but they were my favorite agency out there. There were a lot of other good ones, but I just loved what they were doing, and I spent quite a bit of time there talking with that boy Anthony. Anthony, again, if you see this, bro, you rock, man. Thank you for spending as much time with me, by the way, as you did as well, if you see this. So let's watch one more video with Anthony, and we're going to move on to the next agency, which is a pretty cool one called Recovery Cafe. And we'll hear briefly from the gentleman that I met at that booth. But right now, this is another video from Anthony and End Overdose talking about fentanyl strips and testing drugs for fentanyl. If somebody's using and you get some shit off the street, or even, you know, maybe you get some pills you think are legit from God only knows who, you know, it would even be a family member, you still want to test that shit. So anyway, let's give this one a look and a listen. All right, y'all, we're out here with Anthony Banuelos from End Overdose, and we just Anthony saw that awesome training and demonstration you did on how to administer Narcan, bro. That was awesome. So wanted to give you an opportunity first to tell you a little bit about your organization, then you're going to teach us how to use a fentanyl testing strip.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Tell us about End Overdose.
End Overdose. So End Overdose is a 501c nonprofit organization. We're based out of Los Angeles, California.
Right.
Now we're working to fight against drug-related overdose deaths through education, medical intervention, and public awareness. Now, education, we educate individuals on the signs and symptoms and also the steps to take. Now, the purpose of our training is to get you more comfortable, more confident in taking action to save somebody's life. Right? Absolutely. Now, medical intervention, right? Now, we cover the Good Samaritan law. We encourage you to seek medical assistance, right? We need to get this individual to a hospital where they can be properly monitored, okay? Now, we also distribute Naloxone, the medication that they use to reverse an opioid overdose. So if you know anybody that could benefit that needs Naloxone, they can get it free on our website, www.endoverdose.net. You could also check out our IG at end.overdose. And public awareness, like we're destigmatizing this conversation. This is something that we need to talk about in our society. You know, fentanyl is such a prevailing substance in our society nowadays, and they're lacing a majority of substance with it. So we need to talk about this. We need to be vocal. We need to spread these resources is what we need to do.
Shit almost killed me, bro. I got a hold of some of them bad pills when I was using, you know. But so anyway, like you were saying, man, what you just, you know, demonstrated. Whoop, I'm doing it the wrong way here. Okay, over here. Yeah. You demonstrated, bro. Helps a person to feel like more in their own element if they ever do have to administer the stuff. So tell us about the fentanyl test strip, though, if you would.
Now, our fentanyl test strip, we offer this as a preventive measure. Basically, you know, take, for instance, someone's written a prescription to opioids, right?
Right.
Now, say I run out of prescription. How many times have we asked a neighbor for some pills? Like, hey, neighbor, hey, my back is killing me.
Or just flat out buying them off the street from a plug, you know?
Absolutely. And maybe somebody that's a first-time user, somebody that's like an addiction, that's not an active fentanyl user, right? Now, we want individuals to be safe. It's kind of, we want individuals to kind of be responsible in a sense, preventive measure, right? I'm not an active fentanyl user, right? I just want to take whatever it is that I'm taking for it to be. Right now, these are real simple, real easy to use. I guess I'll demonstrate how we use this right here.
Okay,
I don't have any bottled water, but
we don't have no
water right there, so we ain't got no substance. But if it's in a pill form, we encourage that you crush up the whole pill, and mix it up. You'll need like a bottle cap of water, some water, and this test strip right here. You're going to dilute 10 milligrams of the substance, real small amount, around the size of a matchstick head. Real small amount. And I'm going to open this up.
Go ahead. Let's show it. I love this, man. It's, you know, again, I think just by watching this will help our viewers to feel more in their own element if, unfortunately, they ever have to, you know, deal with something like what we're talking about.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, the test strip's going to look like this. Now, the blue end, after we dilute our substance in the water, right, dilute it, let it dissolve, you're going to hold the blue end of the test strip, right? You're going to dip in solution for around 30 seconds. Let
Okay.
it, you'll see it soak up into the strip right here.
Right.
Now, when you take the strip out, right, it's gonna look, it'll have a reading on there, right? Now the reading's on the back. You're gonna have two lines, two red lines. It's negative, there's no fentanyl in there. One line, there's fentanyl present, you got a bad batch, you probably shouldn't use it.
This is similar to like the COVID test or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I the way you say you probably shouldn't use it,
Probably
don't
shouldn't
fucking use it.
Probably shouldn't use it. You got a bad batch.
Yeah, for real. Don't. But hey, bro, thank you so much, man,
Hey, you're
for
welcome.
what you guys are doing here. Tell us your connection with Mobilized Recovery. What's that connection there?
Yeah, so actually we went on tour with Mobilized Recovery last year. I forgot the amount of states we were, but we were present with them last year. We distributed over 10,000 intramuscular naloxone kits across the U.S. So we toured the United States and distributed naloxone all across the U.S. last year.
Wow, awesome. Well, thanks again, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate
you. Rock.
Thank you.
Peace. All right.
Wow, man. Did you hear what he just said, Dean? They distributed over 10,000, doses of the Narcan, man. How cool is that, The dude is legit. And then let's get another close-up, Dean, because I do want to show the back of this. There was some glare when he was doing this is the fentanyl test strip package, and here is the back of it, and you can see it. There's still a little glare, but you can see better that strip with the two lines underneath and the one line up above for positive and negative, and then there's a barcode. I'm trying to hold it steady, so if you were interested, you could certainly scan that barcode for more detailed information. But anyhow, y'all, I just thought it was great, and I certainly got some of those that I've got on hand that, I could provide to anyone if they wanted them. And
I was just going to the End Overdose website.
Or go to the End Overdose website.
It's pretty cool. It's a .net,
.net.
endoverdose.net. They've got this commemoration garden. Have you seen it?
No, that I didn't see.
You want to take a look? I can bring it in.
Yeah, let's bring
Here.
that up.
Okay, so hold on. I'm just going
What
to
is it,
add
like a
the
memorial?
yeah, I'm just going to add the screen. Hang on. Let me go with the
No, I
entire
appreciate
screen.
you doing that, Dean.
Boom,
Yeah, I was
share.
just, not to make excuses, but I just was doing so much prep for today's show that I didn't get really or take the time to do a deep dive into their website,
So the sites works really nice.
yeah, it looks
Get
pretty,
certified free Naloxone, get fentanyl test strips, commemorative garden, support us, and go into the site, and it's just
wow, look
isn't
at
it
that.
crazy
Here,
the
I
kind
was
of
saying
numbers they're hitting?
10,000. They've distributed over 81,000. Wow, bro!
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought this up, Dean, because like I said, I hadn't looked at this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Talk about the services, all the people, their team, which you've already
they're
met some of
legit,
these
y'all.
people.
Oh my God, they're the real deal.
They're really kind of doing it. They got a store. Here's the garden, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna
this got my attention.
I've already loaded it on another page, so I'm gonna jump to that other page.
Yeah.
So this is where it starts, and I'm gonna scroll, and it's stones bear their weight, mourn.
Oh
Silent
my
echoes
God,
in
how
white
cool
light.
is this?
So I'm just kind of scrolling with my mouse. Petals fall too soon. End overdose. This is really kind of neat. You go in here and remember those who have lost overdose
This
and
is
enter the
like
garden.
powerful.
And when you enter the garden, at the bottom you can't see it because of the StreamYard thing is there, but it says add a name, so you can actually add a name of somebody to this. And
Man.
this is you're at the top of this. That is really
Dean,
cool.
I can't thank you enough for bringing this up, bro, because it just kind of reiterates. I had this sense after meeting Anthony and watching his presentation and hearing more about the organization and reading the brochures that this place is legit. And now watching what you just pulled up, reiterates that with me that much more. They're the real deal, y'all. They are not just helping people, but literally saving lives. And I'm so proud that I was able to meet with Anthony and learn more about
this
their
looks
organization
like
and share it with everybody.
This looks like you can do it in VR. It's that kind of feeling to it because you can look it all over. And I'm wondering if they have it so that you can, on the Oculus, you can kind of get in and look around.
How
but
cool
yeah,
is that?
It's pretty neat. And
Yeah, it is.
I'm still having, I guess I have to add a name to do something, but
Yeah, yeah.
if I were to add a name, it's going to open up, and then
No,
of course,
I get it, and hopefully we would never have to add a name. But you know what,
So
man, what a unique tool to help people heal, because you know this takes us in a whole nother direction almost with the whole thing that you know when somebody dies of a fentanyl or any other opiate overdose. Yeah, that person's dead and gone. We also want to remember all the other people it affects. It affects their family, their mother, their father, their son, their daughter, their brother, their sister, the whoever. You know, that was one of the things that I had to really come to an understanding of, even in my own recovery, is that you know, it is a selfish sickness because we forget that it affects the people that love and care about us. And sometimes I talked about this with a friend of mine at a meeting that sometimes when we're out there fucking up and we're using, we know we're fucking up. Our self-esteem goes so low because we feel like a piece of shit because we know we're out there fucking up, using, and all these things, you know. And so we forget that people do love and care about us. And so, man, when somebody dies of an overdose, Dean, that is such a cool thing. I am so glad and so grateful, bro, that you did a deep dive into their website and brought this up and showed that to us. Because when someone dies, man, that's just another tool that can hopefully help people that love those that die in the healing process.
Before that, I was on Narcan's website just to kind of get some idea and you know what they're all about. And I'll put it up. You may not want me to stay here, but
no,
you know, but the everything, you know, the you know, the stuff you just went through. But one thing I did notice over here. Safe to use even if opioids are not present.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is I don't remember hearing that. So if you misdiagnose somebody, it is safe to use even if they're not.
No, that's
ODing.
Talked about. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I must have missed that
so
part.
if you're, as you just said, if you're suspect that someone did, you know, ingest some opiates and they're unconscious, and you give them the Narcan, but they never did take any opiates, it can't hurt them. It can't hurt them at all.
Right. So that was
point.
kind of that's kind of good to know, and I think that alone has to be, you know, because you know people are just so afraid of. I don't want to hurt the person, you know.
Yeah, I was also very happy to hear, as I'm sure you picked up, Anthony talked about, you know, the Good Samaritan law and things to that nature. You know, if you come across somebody, y'all, and you think they're suffering from an opiate overdose and they're unconscious, by all means, do everything you can to help them, and hopefully you'd be able to administer some Narcan. You don't have to worry about any type of prosecution or anything. You're protected under the Good Samaritan law. But Dean, you rock, bro. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us, you know. So anyway, shout out once again to End Overdose. Go check them out online, y'all. It's .net, endoverdose.net. .net is, you know, usually, you know, for nonprofits, and they are legit, y'all. So check them out. Now we're going to move along to this next video because, you know, as I've talked about, and as you saw, y'all, I you know, walked the floor of these tents where all these booths were set up. And another one I came across, it definitely caught my interest for a variety of reasons that I'll talk about in a minute, but it's called Recovery Cafe, and the guy that was working the booth was so nice to me. and it's just a very interesting organization. And again, I love that it's kind of geared toward younger people that need a place to hang out when they're getting clean. You know what I mean? It's like young people like going out, like hanging out, doing stuff, but they don't want to go to the club where everybody's drinking and drugs are around and shit, but they, still like hanging out. And so let's hear a little bit about the place that's called Recovery Cafe.
Okay, y'all, we out here in this tent again with all these cool vendors, and I came across what's called the Recovery Cafe Network, and this is a real cool organization. I was chatting with the gentleman here who's agreed to talk with us, and I'm sorry, what's your name again, bro?
I'm Ken.
Ken.
Good to see you.
Ken, tell us a little bit about Recovery Cafe, if you would.
So Recovery Cafes, and there's 61 of them across the country right now.
Wow.
They're just safe community organizations, membership based. Membership is free, but when a member comes in, what they commit to is being drug and alcohol free, participating in their recovery, going to their support groups, and just giving back. So real simple. And then what they get is support groups, meals, coffee, sober activities.
So it's not a treatment center. It's a place for mainly probably young people, I would assume, to hang out. Like a cafe, you have activities, I'm assuming maybe music and, open mics and things like that.
Absolutely. So, not treatment, not a clinical program, but a long-term support program for people in recovery.
Right. So, wow, man, this is so cool. Let me just show this. There's a little picture of some of the locations, and I'm going to grab some of these brochures. But let me ask you this. I'm just asking, bro. You said you're in 61 markets across the country.
Right.
So I'm just one of them guys, I wonder, well, where's the funding for this come from? Is it a franchise? Is it a nonprofit? How's that work?
So each one of those 61 is its own local nonprofit.
Right.
So there is, as a nonprofit, they got to do a lot of fundraising.
Right.
So I work for the network.
Right.
So it's not a franchise. It's a social licensing model.
Yeah.
So, but what the network provides is training in how to run a cafe and how to do the fundraising.
Wow.
So we provide a lot of support and training for local, small community nonprofits who choose to run a recovery cafe.
Bro, I love it, man. I love it. Ken, thank you so much for talking with us, man.
If people want to check out recoverycafenetwork.org, they can learn more. And find out how to start one in their community.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. So, hey, y'all, we'll talk more about it on the podcast, but there's that. And I'm going to get some of these brochures. Thanks again, Ken.
All right. Shout out Ken and the Recovery Cafe Network. Yeah, man, I really enjoyed meeting with Ken and hearing about them. And as I mentioned before we started that video, I have kind of a unique, how shall I say, take on the whole thing. For all my friends back in Orlando, where I lived for 30 years, my program friends, and others too, some of y'all will recall, I was very involved in a club there that was called Club Soda. And it was a drug and alcohol free nightclub, basically, coffee house, whatever you want to call it. I was the DJ there, and I invested a little bit of money in it. Man, we kept that thing going for about, I don't know, 7, 8 years. Me and this guy, Dan Brown, and there was another couple of people involved. Marvin, shout out Dan, Marvin. I saw we reconnected on social media. We need to catch up at some point if you guys see this. But man, we kept that thing going for a while, but it always struggled, always struggled financially. We bounced around to a couple different locations, a few different locations. But what I loved about it was exactly what I've been talking about. Is it gave young and older people a place to go. And there was always those fucking stick in the mud people. Well, that's just like a fucking bar, you know. Dude, fuck you if that's how you feel. I still feel the same way as I did back then. Fuck you. You know, young people need a place to hang out. Just because you get clean and sober doesn't mean you got to fucking sit home on the couch and fucking fill your face with Oreos and get a big belly watching TV. Get out and do some shit. Go to the gym, you know. And like I said, young people like going out and meeting other clean and sober young people. And young people like to go to places that they can dance, where they don't have to be exposed to people drunk and drinking and hitting them on them inappropriately and drugs all around and shit. And I don't know, it was just weird. It kind of wasn't always embraced at the level we thought it was going to be in Central Florida. But like I said, it definitely, hung around for about 7, 8 years. And then, there was a long story to why it all fell apart. But at the end of the day, it all came down to financial stuff. There just wasn't enough money to sustain it. But anyway, the point I'm making is I'm a huge proponent of stuff like that. And for those that follow me on like social media and stuff too, I'm also a big proponent of what are known as the Alano clubs. It's kind of weird around Central Florida and Orlando area. There's clubs, but there's not like an Alano club. Out here in California, they call them the Alano clubs, which seems kind of strange to me, but that's what they call them. Not on the East Coast. They're called the Alano Club, kind of a play off the word Alamo, the last stand, the Alamo, you get it? But hey, potato, potato, tomato, tomato, whatever the fuck. There's Alano clubs all around the country. God, I went to one in Maui, by the way, which shout out Maui, man. They're still recouping from the fires there. I posted something on social media about a month ago when the fires hit, man. The Alano Club there, everybody survived. No one got hurt or killed from the club. But they did suffer damages from the fires and stuff. And man, if you could just go to the Maui Alano Club online, and they have a donate button. Even if you can send them $5, $10, it all adds up, y'all. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. There's Alano clubs all over the country. There's one in Key West called the Anchors Away Club. Clubs like this give people in the recovery community a place to hang out. So I'm sorry if I sounded bitter for a second when I said, fuck, but we used to deal with that sometimes with Club Soda, where we'd hear people talk shit around town like, oh, that's just like a fucking bar, man. People hanging out, It's like, really, dude? Really? When people don't understand things, they tend to lash out at them, or sometimes people just have a fucking attitude. It's like, I never thought of it much different than going to Dunkin' Donuts and sitting at the fucking counter drinking coffee. So, it's all about perception, I guess, sometimes. You know what I mean? The East Side Alano Club in Detroit. Best fucking home group in the world. Rock on, y'all. Shout out to all my friends at the Eastside Alano Club in Detroit. I literally feel like that place saved my life. They got pool tables there. They got video machines there. We used to have poker games in the back after hours, They have dances there. They have a counter where you can sit and socialize and meet people, drinking coffee, drinking soda, having food, snacks, whatever the fuck. There's tables, a big screen TV to watch games. What the fuck is wrong with that? Nothing. Everything right about that. And for some reason, man, I'm getting fired up about it again, because I used to fucking get so irritated, man, when I'd hear people talking shit about what we had going on at Club Soda, man. We had live music, bands playing, karaoke, bingo. We did all kinds of shit, man. And so anyway, getting back to Recovery Cafe Network. I had no idea, y'all. They're in 61 locations around the country, and they're legit nonprofits. Ken was so cool. I showed y'all the short video, but we talked for a while, and man, what a great opportunity for not just young people. Obviously, it's a little more geared toward young people, really for anybody, to get out and socialize in a drug and alcohol free environment. And I'll move on from this topic, y'all, but rock on Recovery Cafe Network. Dean, did I see you pulling up a website for them or something? Is that what you were looking at there? I can see down in the in the bottom of the screen there, kind of like you did with the end overdose one. Is that what you were doing there? If not,
I
no
was
worries.
kind of doing a little different research, but
right on. But yeah, Recovery Cafe
Network.
Network. Anyways, y'all, I thought Dean might have been looking up their website.
It's there. There
But-
it is.
it is
You want
there?
to see it? Do you
Yeah,
wanna
bring
see
that
it?
boy up. Bring
look at that.
thing up.
There's-
Let's check
there
it
it
out.
is.
Yeah, there you go. Recovery Cafe Network. Welcome to Recovery Cafe Network. And you know what? If you would scroll up against Dean, I've been saying it's all geared toward young people, but shit, most people in that picture look like a bunch
I
of
don't
old
see
fuckers,
any.
you know?
Well, maybe one or two might be considered young.
But Ken was telling me, definitely geared toward young people, and this picture here shows that it's older people too, So yeah, for all you old stick in the mud people that think, oh, it's just like another fucking bar, man, get with the program. This is 2023, not 1953 or 1935 or whatever the fuck. People like to have a place to go to hang out where they don't have to deal with a bunch of drunk fuckers or people getting all fucked up using dope or drinking, And so, God, I'd like to see a recovery cafe in every city, man. I'm really, this is the map of where they're all at. Is that it?
Yeah, looks like a lot of the Washington area, and then Indiana is.
Wow.
Well,
See, I didn't do a deep dive in their website either. I'm just still kind of fresh back from this event and got all this information and
well,
still want to do
let's see.
some research.
Daytona Beach, and
They got one in Daytona? Very
and
cool.
Palatka.
Palatka. Wow. There's a lot there in the Midwest there. And what is that? The Illinois, Kentucky, Southeast Michigan area?
Yeah, Lexington.
Wow. Well, hey,
Indiana.
while Dean's doing that, y'all, you get the idea. Go to the Recovery Cafe Network. Just Google it, or they're a .org, which is also, usually indication of a nonprofit, and check them out. And as Ken said, maybe you can even find out some information about how to get one started in your community. If that's
Looks like it gets to Canada as well.
Might be
Vancouver
interesting.
is
Very
represented
cool.
up here.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, I sometimes think, as I've talked about on this podcast, and you and I, Dean, I'm retired from full-time work. I had not one but two careers, in my life. And, man, I keep getting recruited to come out of retirement. And if I did, to go back to work even part-time, this is the kind of agency I think I would love to work for, man, because I really, truly believe in this kind of stuff. Being a music guy and all, I just love people having a place to go socialize, hang out, have open mics, play live music, have a DJ, dance, whatever, socialize, mingle, I just think it's cool as hell, man. So anyway, all right. Well, hey, Dean, I appreciate you. Look, they got food going on. They help people out. It just looks like a real legit organization, y'all. And like I said, I did talk more with Ken while I was there, and just a good organization, y'all. They're legit. They're the real deal. So thanks again, Dean, for bringing that up. Let's go on to the next one, y'all. This is a short video. It's just about a minute and a half. But, I've been talking a lot about young people. And, it's like, we talked last week on the show about that study done that they talked about at that Jamie Daniels Foundation event I went to, that, this research showed that 90% of people who have an overdose or develop a substance abuse disorder and addiction in their adult life, 90% of them will tell you they started using as a kid, under 18, like I did. I was 13 years old, for God's sake, really younger than that when I started, 11, 10, 11, 12 years old. I grew up around this shit, y'all. But when I turned 13, that's when I started using on a daily basis, and it did evolve, to a serious problem for me as an adult, as I've mentioned a few times. So anyway, I just love it when I see agencies gearing their message toward the youth. Now, I will tell you, this next group, I'm going to show you this video for it. He was really pretty crystal clear with me and wanted to, stress that they're not just for young people. It's just that's their focus. But they do stuff and welcome anybody to become involved with their organization. And they're called Young People in Recovery. So let's give this a look and a listen.
We out here, recovery happens 2023, and we are at the Young People in Recovery booth here in this particular tent, and met my boy Kevin, and Kevin agreed to do an interview with us. Kevin, thank you so much, bro. So tell us a little bit about your organization, Young People in Recovery.
Yeah, YPR is an organization. We are in 14 chapters across California. We're called Young People in Recovery. However, we support all ages and all pathways to recovery, whether you're harm reduction, AA, NA, faith-based, peer support. We provide recovery support services. Love that, man. Love that. And we were just chatting. I see y'all giving away the free Narcan today. Tell us about that. Yeah, this is the free Narcan. I know we were just talking about how it came over the counter recently, and it's quite expensive. So we're out here distributing it, advocating not only for those who are currently in use, but also for the person who may not use but have relatives, right? To get rid of the stigma. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, bro. The stigma. Stop the stigma. That's what we're doing out here, y'all. We're recovering out loud. And yeah, as you mentioned, Kevin, the Narcan, which of course is an antidote for an opiate OD, is available for over-the-counter purchase starting this week. But it ain't real cheap, A pack of 2 of these is like $50. So I think it's awesome, man, that y'all are providing it for free.
And shout out to that boy Kevin, man. He's I got his card here. I'm going to be in touch, Kevin, if you see this, bro. He's a program coordinator for the Redding area. And as I mentioned earlier, y'all, when we saw that presentation on how to properly administer Narcan, it seemed like almost every other booth there was giving it away for free. So although it is expensive, it's like $50 for a box of 2. If you buy it over the counter, you can get it for free from all these different agencies. So, without going down a big laundry list, I just recommend, that maybe you just Google free Narcan in whatever area you're living in, and I guarantee you'll be able to get some. And as Kevin just mentioned, keep it on hand, man. Especially if you have a family member who you suspect or maybe even know is fucking around with opiates, or, legit takes opiate pain medication. Keep it on hand anyways. Maybe they have an accidental overdose, because sometimes when you're using that shit, your brain and your thinking becomes foggy and you forget, when did I take my last one or whatever the fuck? Or, maybe you don't even suspect it, but, people start using more than they're supposed to. Next thing you know, they're trading pills with the neighbor or whoever the fuck because they used up their script before they're up for a renewal, and who knows where the neighbor got theirs. Maybe they're trading with somebody else who got some shit off the fucking streets. Whatever the fuck. Keep some Narcan around, and it should be in every workplace, especially if a workplace isn't doing regular drug testing like they should be. Whatever that means. I'm sorry, y'all. Couldn't resist. Touche. So anyway, y'all, yes, yeah, keep the Narcan on hand. In public places and workplaces, it should become as common as a fire extinguisher. It can save probably even more lives than fire extinguishers do. Fires don't happen as often as opiate overdoses do. They're happening all day, every fucking day. So anyway, Shout out to Young People in Recovery, great organization. And there's another one. I would encourage you to maybe look up their info online. Dean, you got me curious. I can't help but notice. You have another website pulled up at the bottom of the screen, and it had all kinds of colors like yellow and green. And was that the one for Young People in Recovery, or what one was that for? Is that another?
Well, that was I was
Something else?
I was kind of going through the other that commemorative thing.
Oh,
and
I didn't mean
kinda,
to put you on the spot. Yeah,
no,
that's
no, no,
the.
no.
You're still on the commemorative garden for.
I was kind of like
and
looking around and realizing I could actually navigate through.
Wow, it's almost
the,
like a video game in a way.
Yeah, it is still in. I'm actually inside. Yeah, I was kind of like,
Wow.
looks
So
like
is that?
it's
Let me
it's
ask. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but let me ask you this. So this person who's listed there, Jacob Williams, with all respect, 1998 to 2020, is that a legit memorial that someone put on this website of a person that died from an OD?
I believe so. There's names all over the place. They do say they're under construction. So, but I'm
Wow.
pretty sure these are accurate because I could go over here, and
And there's more, yeah.
then there's more like, boom. There's
Oh wow,
you know.
Sarah Troyer, yeah. From
Yeah, so
what year
I
was
you
that,
know.
Dean? Can we go back to that? I don't mean to be a pain in the neck. I'm just curious since we showed it. Sarah Troyer, 1992 to 2019. So what would that be? 19 and 8 is 27 years old.
Yeah.
This person was 27, and God bless Sarah Troyer and her family. Man. So yeah, I see what you're doing here, Dean. And
Yeah, I knew there had to be some more navigation I was missing. But anyways,
Okay.
this is Young People in Recovery.
Okay,
and,
so yeah, there's their website,
.org.
and the
get rid of the cookies.
group, I like their website with the people in motion there.
Yeah. So there's
Wow,
a
they got
chapter list.
Chapter list. See, this is cool,
Moving a little
y'all.
slow,
I
but-
love this kind of stuff. Like I've shared on this program many, 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 many times. I'm a 12-step guy. That's where I came up in recovery, Fucking 61 years old now, but I first started getting involved for my own personal recovery in 12-step stuff when I was just shy of 25, 24 years old. But man, oh man, has the recovery community come a long way since then. Because 12-step meetings ain't for everybody. Not everybody is into the whole 12-step thing, and but they want to be involved in recovery type groups and organizations and the whole 9 yards. And there's a lot more out there than just NAAA fucking A anymore. A lot of them, like even Kevin talked about, maybe are organizations that endorse, or I hate using the word endorse, but embrace 12-step meetings. He mentioned NAAA, you know what I mean, and it's part of what they do, but they're not necessarily a 12-step group. They do so much more, and it looks like that's what Young People in Recovery is all about. Look, they even have a life skills curriculum program.
Yeah.
Can you go back to that one, Dean? Life skills curriculum programs. So they're doing a lot more to help people other than just going to recovery meetings. So I think it's fucking awesome. Don't you agree?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, they even have a careers tab, help people try to get, on track with their careers and things to that nature. So, yeah, man, like I said, y'all, and Dean, I appreciate you bringing that up. There were a lot of informational tables and booths for rehab centers, drug treatment centers, and that's great, and that's all fine and good. Like I said, just do your research on them.
Yeah.
I was also very happy to see there were all these other organizations that I kind of been trying to spotlight here, other than rehab centers. You had the End Overdose Agency. You had the Recovery Cafe Agency. You had Young People in Recovery. And here, this next one, you're going to find is very unique too. They are not a rehab center, they are not a drug treatment agency, but they have advocates, if you will, that work together with ER personnel to help provide information and direction to the doctors and nurses there for people who come in for drug overdoses. Try to get them in the right direction. Try to work even with the families. Let me, play the video so you can hear even better from the person I spoke with. So here we go.
All right, y'all. So now we are here at what's called the California Bridge table, and you can see we are still out here at this event. And now we're talking with, what's your name again?
Sherry Cisneros.
Sherry Cisneros. And Sherry, what do you do with California Bridge?
I'm the Navigator Program Director. I train navigators from all across California. We have 300 currently with CA Bridge that we do training for the emergency room. So our navigators are a great bridge to treatment. Somebody can come into an emergency room in a hospital, ask for a substance use navigator, and our navigators will help refer them to either treatment, inpatient, outpatient. They can either help them get started on MAT in the emergency room.
Medication-assisted treatment.
Yes.
Well, we were just talking that, I'm a big advocate of harm reduction and medication-assisted treatment, and I think y'all have a unique service, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, and I appreciate you telling us about it, because you're not a treatment center, you're more of like a guide for people, an advocate, if you will, for people who come into ERs and maybe are looking for a way out.
Absolutely. We're the grantee. We give hospitals money to employ a navigator. So each hospital is independent, but we train the doctors to give medication for addiction treatment, and then we train the navigators on how to navigate the system of treatment centers. Sometimes it may not be, the patient may not be ready, so we give them a Narcan and make sure they're safe.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned the Narcan. Another table, y'all, giving away free Narcan over there, because as you know, it's available for over-the-counter purchase this week, but it's not cheap, It's like $50 for a couple packs, but y'all giving it away free.
At our California Bridge hospitals, yes, they give it away free.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for telling us about y'all's service. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right, peace.
Sherry Cisneros, you rock, girl, and thank you so much, if you see this, for giving me the interview. And, what a great name for what they do. It's the perfect name, California Bridge, because they are kind of that bridge between, people who may end up in an ER and getting them into a legit treatment center or rehab. I like the phrase or the title they use for their people, the navigator, because it is difficult navigating through that whole process. And, people in the ER, they're up to their elbows in everything else they're doing there. It's not just people with drug problems or an overdose or whatever. They got their hands full with everything going on. So, in addition to the medical personnel in the ERs, I'm sure that they're able to provide information to family members and things to that nature. So highly encourage you to check out California Bridge 2, y'all. Now, this next interview is it's pretty interesting, y'all. I mentioned earlier that, there are the 4 milligram Narcan packs out there, which is a 2-pack here of the 4 milligram. But there were also a lot of agencies handing out the 8 milligram called Cloxido. And I was able to talk with this girl from an agency called Forever Free, another legit one, y'all. And this girl, Miss Bailey here, has had some firsthand experience, working out on the streets in the trenches, saving people. She's a real one, y'all. So let's give this interview a look and a listen. It's about 2.5 minutes long. Check it out.
Okay, y'all, we out here, and tell us your name and who you're with.
My name is Farrah Bailey, and I have a nonprofit called Forever Free. We're based out of the Orange County area. We service Orange County, LA, and Riverside.
So, we're here at this table where they're giving away free, look at all those, y'all, free boxes. How do you pronounce this stuff again?
This is Cloxado, so it's 8 milligrams versus 4. It's got the Naloxone in it, which is the blocker. Similar to Narcan, but it's Cloxado.
And so you were telling me a little bit about why this is 8, because a lot of the free ones we saw in the other tent over there, which is great, they're giving them away, but they're 4 milligrams. And you were telling me that with the fentanyl out on the streets now and shit, sometimes 4 just ain't enough.
No, we're noticing that with the 4 milligram Narcan, they're having to use, on average, anywhere from 2 to 4. The highest one that I know recorded was 21 doses, and that was in the LA area.
Wow. So 8 is considered a dosage that is probably going to jolt somebody back to reality, to use that term.
I can feel safer knowing that if I only have 1 box of Cloxado on me, that's 16 milligrams in total. I can feel safer knowing that I most likely help bring someone back. But with 1 box of Narcan, which is the 4 milligram doses, I'm too scared to give out 1 of those in my street outreach. We give out at least 2 to equal 16 milligrams.
Right. So let me ask you this. Have you personally, administered this to someone out on the street and seen it work, bringing back somebody, saving their life?
Yes, actually I have. So with our street outreach, we're in and out of the trenches. We're all over the place. I have personally handed this out and turned around to grab something out of my car. And then I heard, oh shit, that wasn't white, that was Fetty. She's going down. And I turned around in time to help keep her from falling straight to the ground and to be able to look over at someone who we just handed this to and get ready to administer. We were able to call the ambulance, and luckily she was saved.
Wow, this is so awesome, because what we've been talking about a little bit even on the podcast is that this stuff ought to be in every public building right now, just like you can find a fire extinguisher, for God's sake, because it's saving lives. So rock on what you're doing. I can't thank you enough for everything you're doing. And of course, thanks for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Bye.
please.
Yeah, she's a real one, y'all. And man, it was an honor, literally an honor for me. Yeah, sorry, y'all. It was an honor to meet her and talk with her. Because as we heard, she literally is out there saving lives. And, to hear just that one little story of her helping to save someone's life, to literally saving someone's life, it's just so emotional for me, y'all, because, as I've talked about on this program, I have sat right next to people at tables in, recovery meetings that I go to help me stay clean. And then I come back the next day or a few days later and find out that so-and-so is dead because they relapsed and went out and got some bullshit pills that were laced with fentanyl and fucking died, And it just goes back to even what I've talked about on this podcast many, many times, even on tonight's show, about how, yeah, man, it took balls for me to, come out, if you will, and do this show. And sometimes I second guess myself, like, oh my God, what have I done? What is my family thinking of me? Like, oh my God, Glenn's lost his fucking mind, or people judging me, old employees or employers, colleagues, whatever. And then I think about, these friends of mine that are fucking dead now because they were struggling with addiction, substance abuse disorder, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and just for whatever reason couldn't quite get it yet, and relapsed and got a hold of some bullshit pills laced with fentanyl that's a plague on our fucking, humanity right now, and died. And until that's happened to you, maybe you just won't understand. I don't know, but it unfortunately is something I've experienced many, many times, and certainly could have happened to me. I got a hold of some of them bullshit pills, y'all, and literally was one of them guys knotted out in his fucking car in the 7-Eleven parking lot with people banging on the window saying, "You okay in there?" And for whatever reason, I got lucky, y'all, and I didn't die, and for whatever reason, I've been blessed, and I'm clean now, almost 2.5 years. In fact, it'll be exactly 2.5 years tomorrow, September 11th, because I got clean on March 11th of 2021. So anyway, moving along, y'all. I'm sorry, I get emotional on this program sometimes, as some of my friends joke with me, "Oh, there's Glenn getting filled up again." I use that term a lot. I get filled up. But, man, it was such a pleasure meeting a person who is out there, like she said, like I said, is in the trenches, y'all, out on the streets, in Orange County and LA and different areas, and working with other people that are out there in the trenches administering Narcan and saving people's lives. That's what it's all about, and that's what this show is all about, and what we're trying to do here, y'all. So I got one more quick video from this event, and then we're going to move on. I was kind of hoping to wrap this show up today about an hour and a half, but, man, we took another deep dive, and it seemed warranted. It was all good information, and like I always say, man, if somebody's watching this show who's trying to kick dope, you come across the recorded version of it, it'll be out there from now till God only knows when, the end of time, and you're climbing the walls trying to kick. This will kill a couple hours for you with what's hopefully inspirational content for you. But, I went to that fentanyl awareness summit that we showed on an episode a few weeks ago, and I've even done reels of, what they call the Faces of Fentanyl wall. It's heartbreaking, man. And at this Fentanyl Awareness Summit, they had all these posters of people, mostly young people, who've died from an overdose. Well, at this particular event, they didn't have as many posters, but they had some out there of people who've recovered. And I thought it was kind of cool to see the other side of the spectrum, because guess what, y'all? We do recover. So this is just a short video, and then we're going to move on from this event into some news, some shout outs, some music stuff, and wrap the show up in just a little bit. But I thought this video was kind of a nice way maybe to end our little visit and trip down the road at Recovery Happens. Check this out.
So hey y'all, this is pretty cool. You may recall at the Fentanyl Awareness Summit, I walked those photos of all those people that passed away and died from a fentanyl overdose, getting their hands on some of them bullshit pills. And here they have photos of people living recovery. So, kind of at the other end of the spectrum. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so there you go, y'all. That was the Recovery Happens event in Sacramento, California, to kind of sort of kick off the Recovery Awareness Month that's taking place all across the country in the United States of America. And it was a good event, y'all. I hope you enjoyed paying a visit to that event if you weren't able to make it in person. And everything we talked about and showed. And want to thank all the people who agreed to interview with me again, and highly encourage you to check out those organizations, y'all. So once again, shout out to Recovery Happens 2023. Definitely going to try to make it out to that event again next year. So let's move along, y'all, and go into the opioid epidemic in the news. We're going to bring some slides up again here. And There we go. Well, wait a minute. Yep, there we go. It's catching up on the slide, y'all. So the opioid crisis in the news. Dun-dun-dun-dun. We got to get a little sounder here for that. Dean. But this one caught my attention. You know, as I've mentioned on the show many times, you always keep up with things in the news having to do with the opioid crisis. And we could sit here and talk for 8 hours about all the stuff I see in the news every week. So I try to grab one or two headlines. And this one's interesting. I thought it was I shouldn't laugh about it, but it's definitely interesting. Customs and Border Protection reveals a secret, what they call ground zero location in its fight against fentanyl. And what this refers to is a place where they got to keep all this shit that they confiscate. And so it's like this bunker at a secret location where they keep all this stuff till it can be destroyed. And it said here they have among the stacks, not just the one, among it is 8,500 pounds of fentanyl and the chemical precursors used to make the drug, all of which, again, will soon be destroyed. But think about it, man. You know, we've showed on this program, if you remember, Dean, you know, you showed that picture of on a penny, you know, just a few little granules of fentanyl can kill somebody, and they're sitting on 8,500 pounds of it in this secret bunker. It's like, oh my God, they must have to wear like fucking gas masks and hazmat suits and every other goddamn thing to even be around it. You know, and this is just, you know, a grain of sand in the desert, a drop of water in the ocean in you know, their battle to confiscate this stuff. And so anyway, y'all, that was a story that you can see there. It was September 7th. I pulled from CBS. I just thought was quite interesting. Here's one, y'all, getting off the whole opioid topic. I found this interesting because, hey, as we know, y'all, not getting political or anything like that, but we pulled out of Afghanistan a couple of years ago now, I guess it's been. And now, with the Taliban in control there and everything, this article from NBC headline, Afghanistan is now the fastest growing maker of meth, the UN says. Kind of makes you wonder who's behind that, you know, because, man, civilians in Afghanistan, you don't fuck around with the Taliban, they'll cut your fucking head off, you know, and that whole thing. So, I don't know, man, just kind of makes you a little suspect. Is the Taliban behind this, and is this a way they're fucking generating fucking money now, and blah, 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 this whole fucking drug thing. Oh, my God, man. It's just fucking crazy. You know, I was telling Dean before the show today, we don't talk a lot about cocaine on this program, but we're going to. You know, for me, my struggle this time around was with the opiates, but I had a coke problem back in the 80s. That shit almost killed me back then. And it hasn't gone away. You know, the crack epidemic was labeled this whole thing of the 80s. That hasn't gone away. You know, I talk about it all the time. I go to meetings, man. I meet people left and right all day, every fucking day that are in there trying to kick their crack habit, you know. People still smoking crack. People still snorting coke, freebasing, all that shit. Cocaine is still a huge fucking problem in this country and around the world. It's just the opioid epidemic has taken the spotlight, which I think it's, you know, certainly, you know, valid. But let's not forget about these other drugs, y'all. You know, I've met meth heads in the rooms, bro. Oh, man, that ain't no fucking joke. You know, that's one drug, thank God, for whatever reason, I just never fucked with. I'm sure being the addictive person I am, had I probably would have became hopelessly hooked to that one as well. But cocaine, oh, I got my stories on that one, too. Haven't touched that drug, thank God, since 1986. I never went back to it, man. You know, that's a whole other story. People say you relapse, you'll go back to your DOC, your drug of choice. And coke was definitely my drug of choice back in the 80s, but I never fucking went back to it. Thank God. Man, and I have reasons for that. It was one of the best highs in the world, but the worst fucking crash ever. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but we're going to do a whole episode just talking about coke, and hopefully we'll have some some people participate in that particular edition of the program. I think I'm going to try to line up a guest for that one too, and we'll welcome callers and people and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, this story caught my attention, man. Afghanistan, where the U.S. Had a presence for so long, we pull out, and now they're the fastest growing maker of meth, according to the UN. So we'll keep an eye on that one, y'all. And switching now to music news, y'all. Very sad this past week. God, two of my favorite artists that are gone now because of fentanyl overdoses in the news this past week was the 5-year anniversary of Mac Miller passing away. And man, if anybody's interested and you haven't, and you want to do a deep dive into him passing away, I mean, this almost sounds like inappropriate to even talk about. I swear to God, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I mean it in a way that it might help someone. They confiscated, as part of the legalities involved with his death, his phone records and the text messages between him and the dope man leading up to his death are all out there on the internet. It's public information. And if you want something fascinating to read, especially if you're a dope user or a drug dealer, go read that shit. Oh my God, it fucking reminded me of me when I was jonesing, trying to fucking get the hookup with the dope man or whoever, you know, I might have been trading with or whatever the fuck. It's like identical. Anybody who's been involved in that kind of thing, you'll read these fucking text messages and it'll be like looking in the mirror. It's fucking bizarre. And with all that said, y'all, these next slides, yeah, there he is, Mac Miller. God, man, such a talented rapper, you know. In fact, I posted something the other day. You know, if you're a Mac Miller fan, you know he made it big as a kid, and his first big tune was Best Day Ever. And I posted, fuck, when he died, worst day ever, you know. If you know, you know, man. And, God, what a cool artist and cool person he was, you know. But anyways, the dealers that were connected to his overdose, one of them got 17 and a half years in prison. He was implicated, you know, through those text messages I talked about. And again, it's fascinating to read them. I mean, again, it sounds kind of morbid and almost tacky. The point I'm making is, man, if you're a person struggling with addiction or you're out there dealing that shit, go read it. Go read it. Might kind of change your tune a little bit. And it wasn't just this one dealer. It was also this other dealer. This guy got fucking 11 years for his involvement in it. So there were a couple of them, y'all. And man, oh man, it was just really, really sad. And then, kind of to piggyback off of this story, there's another guy that everybody was hoping would play Mac Miller in a movie about Mac's life. And his name was Angus Cloud. And he was a famous actor on the show Euphoria. And if you haven't seen Euphoria, I highly encourage you to check it out. It's out there on the streaming platforms, and they're working on another season, I'm told. It stars Zendaya, but there's a lot of great actors and actresses in it. In fact, that girl, Sydney Sweeney, who's in the Stones' new video for that tune, Angry, that was just released this past week, she's in the show Euphoria. But anyway, this dude, Angus Cloud, everybody was hoping would play Mac Miller because he looked so much like him. He fucking dies from a goddamn fentanyl overdose about a month ago. It's like, what the fuck? It just, I don't know, man. It's bizarre. But if you've never taken a deep dive into Mac Miller's music, highly encourage it. In fact, going back to this slide, y'all, you can see this is an NPR story. And the picture there on the right, both pictures actually, is him and that boy Thundercat on bass and some other musicians. They did what is known as a tiny desk concert. NPR does these tiny desk concerts where they bring in these featured artists and they'll do a few jams. And, oh, God, the one Mac Miller did is like classic. I just can't encourage you enough to check it out. Anyway, moving along, y'all, just this week as well, Lil Peep, another one of my favorite artists, man. And if you haven't checked out Peep's music, definitely go take a deep dive into his stuff. In fact, I'd put a reel out today promoting today's show using one of his tunes, Moving On, where he talks about, it's the pain pills and all that. If you know Peep, you know what I'm talking about. God, man, such a talented young artist. Died from a fentanyl overdose. He got a hold of some bullshit pills, man. Fucking Xannies and, opiates, blah, blah, blah. And so, anyway, his mom owns his estate. His real name was Gustavo. And he collaborated. One of his favorite artists to collab with was this dude who goes by the stage name I Love McConan. And they've got some stuff out there that was real popular. Well, they had a body of work that Peep's mom and different people, producers and artists she was working with, put together. And if you're a Peep fan and didn't know about this, highly encourage you to Google it. They even did a 20-minute documentary about putting this, release together that they did drop already. There's a tune that will blow your mind on there called November. The whole thing's really good. And so, again, it's this final posthumous am I saying that right? Posthumous? I always get that word messed up. Yeah. Album that he did. It says drop next week, but it's already out there, y'all. You can see this articles from the first. It's called Diamonds. Highly encourage you to go check it out. He was just seemed like such a sweet kid, He clearly had some challenges, he had some issues, drug use and all that other stuff. But go check it out, y'all. Yeah, fucking fentanyl, killing our young people, man. Anyway, on a more upbeat note, y'all, and some more music news, I went to see this show last night here in Sacramento, in a city called Rockland, a suburb of Sac. Dave Koz and friends, and I love Dave Koz, and I was glad to go see him, but I really went to see that girl, Candy Dulfer. Oh, my God, I've loved her, and so many years, I always wanted to see her perform that tune called Lily Was Here live, and I finally got to last night. She's from Amsterdam, actually, and Dave actually talked about it a lot at the show last night, that he talked her into going on this tour with him this summer called the Summer Horns 2023 tour. And, man, if you know, you know. It's considered kind of smooth jazz music, but I will tell you, it was a very high-energy show. And that boy Eric Darius was there, too. He's out of Tampa, Florida. Shout out, Florida. Eric Darius, man, they were all three playing the sax. And, oh, my God, what a great show. I was going to show some videos from it, but I didn't want to hold this show up anymore, and we already have. You can go to my social media, and I did post videos from the concert last night. So, hey, shout out Dave Koz, Candy Dulfer, Eric Darius. Great show at this place called the Quarry Park Amphitheater in Rockland. Great little venue to, go see a concert. And I just thought I'd mention it. Y'all had a lot of fun there. This is my next concert coming up on Tuesday. I'm going to take a ride over to San Francisco to see that girl, Mallrat. I've talked about this one on the show. I can't wait. She's out of Australia, y'all. If you've never checked out Mallrat, oh, my God, I can't recommend it enough. Go check out her music. Do a deep dive. Who turned me on to Mallrat was that girl, Benny, who I talk about all the time. Benny, of course, from New Zealand. And these two even collabed on the official tune for the women's soccer, tournament that just wrapped up the FIFA thing, and it was great. But anyway, it's a small venue called Bimbo's 365 Club in San Fran. I'll be over there Tuesday, and you know damn well I'm going to talk a little bit about that show on the program next week. So just thought I'd mention that. There are still tickets available. If you like Mallrat, head over to San Fran and look for me there Tuesday. All right, y'all, going to go into some funny stuff. Well, this ain't so funny. This is kind of cool, but we're getting real near the end of the show now, y'all. The Detroit Lions, if you know me, you know I'm a Detroit fan. In fact, last week's show was all about my visit to Detroit, and a couple of weeks ago, we went live from Detroit. Been riding with the Detroit Lions since I was a little kid. And if you know football, you know that they are, in fact, what we call the next before I die team. It used to be the Chicago Cubs to win the World Series, and then, of course, Boston to beat the Yankees, and those things both took place. But the Lions have never won the Super Bowl. They did win what was called the NFL championship game back in the 50s, but once they called it the Super Bowl, the Lions have never been. And they got screwed out of the playoffs last year by bad ref calls. And, it was kind of like redemption that they opened the NFL season Thursday night, very first NFL game of the season, against the Super Bowl champ Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City's own backyard, and took it to them and beat them 21-20. It was a great game. And the Lions won, and man, everybody in sports right now is all fired up about the Lions, and predicting them to, at the very least, make the playoffs. But being a Lions fan, all the years I have been, every year we get excited about the Lions, and I truly am excited about them this year, y'all, but I'm proceeding cautiously. As a friend of mine posted, shout out Jeff from the East Side Alano, I'm still suffering PTSD from all them fucking heartbreaking Lions losses over the years, because they don't just lose, man. They break your fucking heart at the end of the game. And so a lot of people are saying, well, here we raised our own banner. This isn't true. This is kind of a funny meme. We raised a banner because we haven't raised one to win the Super Bowl, but we beat the defending Super Bowl champs in their own stadium. But this is the funny one here, y'all. A lot of people are saying from Detroit, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Because every year, man, we get so fired up and excited about the Lions, and then they end up breaking our goddamn heart. But this year, I think they truly are legit. They were legit last year. They didn't have the best start, but they damn sure had a strong finish. They just got screwed around by the refs at the end of the season. And man, I'll get into it, but I did a social media video where I went on a rant all about the NFL refs, man, and I was dropping F-bombs left and right, and I literally pulled it off of like my Facebook and Insta because I just didn't want it out there, but I left it on my TikTok. And the reason I did is of all my TikTok videos, that one has more views than any of them. People just loved watching me go on this rant about the NFL refs and how the Detroit Lions got screwed around at the end of last season. So if you want to see that, you can go to the Glenn Victor TV TikTok page and look through all my shit. You'll find that video of me going on a rant about the NFL refs. But anyway, a lot of people drinking the Kool-Aid this season. If you're new to riding with the Detroit Lions, welcome to the bandwagon, as we say. And I hope you're thick-skinned and tough, because sometimes, man, like I said, we don't just lose but break hearts. Hopefully that doesn't happen this season, and we get into the playoffs, and once you're in, there's no telling, like they say, on any given Sunday, man. Could happen, could go to the big dance and maybe even win. So let's hope the best for the Detroit Lions. All right, y'all, we're getting close to the end of the show. We're going to wrap it up with a few funny memes. I thought this was kind of funny. We're missing the ankle bracelet on the picture of Kermit here for some reason. Maybe I didn't crop that picture, but he's wearing one of those GPS monitors. And so I just thought it was funny. We've shown Kermit a few times before. When your kids ask why you got an Apple Watch on your ankle when you're actually wearing a GPS monitor, sometimes people get in trouble for drug stuff.
Yeah, I checked the original.
Yeah, I must have cropped that bad. But anyway, keeping in line with the whole Kermit and lizard thing, I saved a bunch of money by switching to sobriety. Anybody else? I thought that was kind of in sync with what our show's all about. Moving on to this next one. Being the crazy guy I am, I often say I might be crazy, but I ain't stupid. But nonetheless, my kids laugh because they think I'm crazy, and I know they probably do, but I laugh because they don't know it's hereditary. Love my kids, though. All right, y'all, moving along. And then this one here, as I mentioned, I went on that rant about the Lions last year. So, yeah, warning, warning, danger, danger. Do not put me on speakerphone because I am not speakerphone material. As we do at the beginning of the show, we put a little content warning that sometimes our language can be a little colorful, let's say. So, yeah, that kind of, takes us through the funny memes, y'all. But we wanted to end on this note. Please don't forget that tomorrow is 9/11, and it is the 22nd anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the United States. And, of course, we all know what happened in New York City with the towers. Let's also not forget what happened in D.C. at the Pentagon and the plane crash in Pennsylvania. That was a horrible day, of course, for our country, and we always want to remember, those that, not just those that lost their lives that day, but the families that were affected, and of course all of us as Americans. So just want to wrap up with a couple quick shout outs, y'all. We have some regular viewers of the show and people that ordinarily chime in the chat room or call in and listen in. And we want to say happy 45th anniversary to my sister and her husband, Carol and John. Carol's a regular viewer and listener to the show. 45 years they've been married as of a couple days ago. That's freaking amazing. And then someone else very special to me, I'm not going to mention by name just because this person is not a social media person, fucking hates social media. Not everybody's a social media person, y'all, but this person celebrated 32 years clean, y'all. 32 years. Fucking amazing. And I'm just so proud because it's such an inspiration to me. So proud to be able to send that shout out, and that person will know who I'm talking about. So, yeah, man, not everybody's into social media. I remember I was asking Dean, my son G. I remember a buddy of his, Corey, once. I asked him, hey, Corey, are you on social media, man? I was thinking I'd friend him, and he's like, what, so I can post a fucking selfie? No, man, that ain't for me, dude. So it's like there are some people out there, some of us get caught up in this whole social media world. Of course, I'm all over it, marketing the podcast, but there are people, man, they can't fucking stand it. And there's some rough and tough and hard to bluff people are just like, fuck all that, It's like, it just ain't their thing, Well, was it that movie with, oh God, Michael Keaton and that really cute girl where she there's that one scene where she's getting into it with her dad. She goes, you don't even have a Facebook page, man. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, I'll think of it. We'll talk about it next week, But anyhow, wanted to send out those two shout-outs, y'all, on a personal note this week. And with all that said, that brings us full circle, as we say, y'all. And so once again, just a reminder, if you would, take a moment tomorrow to remember all those that we lost on 9/11. And let's hope and pray nothing like that ever happens again. Man, that was a horrible day. Anyhow, Dean, thank you so much, bro, as always, for everything you did to keep us moving on the show today. We had a lot of information we packed into this one.
I failed miserable keeping us moving.
Well, you know what I mean, man. I just appreciate everything you do for this show. There was a lot of slides and videos again this week. But I thought it was a pretty good show. Definitely very informational, and I really appreciate you doing the deep dive into those websites that you did as well for some of the organizations that we talked about. So anyhow, with all that said, thank you, Dean. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. As I always like to say when we wrap up, man, if you're a person struggling with addiction, you're going through hell, keep fucking going. Just push yourself through it. If I can get clean, I know you can too. There's lots of resources out there available, as we talked about all on this show today, to help us not just get clean, but stay clean and live clean. And with all that said, y'all, we'll be back again next week for episode 27 of the Dare Me podcast, and we hope you can join in as well. So long for now, everyone. Have a safe week. We'll see you next time on the Dare Me podcast.